In the beginning of the film, we see a boy named Mitaya standing alone inside a deserted subway station. He looks terrified, as if he has wandered into a maze with no way out. Every time he walks past exit 8, he somehow ends up right back where he started. While wandering through the station, he repeatedly sees the same silent man passing by. The man never speaks and never reacts. Even though Mitaya is scared, he thinks about asking him for directions. But the moment Mitaya turns around, he suddenly finds the man standing right behind him, smiling in a strange and unsettling way, as if he can read Mitaya's thoughts. Terrified, Mitaya doesn't ask anything and immediately runs forward. As he runs, his eyes land on a strange sign. A board reads Exit 0, but the board above it clearly says Exit 8. Confused, Mitaya searches desperately for a way out. He tries once, then twice, then again and again, almost 100 times. But every path feels fake, as if the doors exist only for show. He keeps wandering through the maze, trapped in the same loop. In desperation, he tries using the emergency intercoms near the exits, but none of them are working. Even worse, his phone has no signal. Trying to calm himself down, Mitaya stops and carefully looks at a strange picture hanging on the wall. The picture shows ants stuck inside a looping path, endlessly moving but never reaching a destination. Watching them, Mitaya realizes something horrifying. Just like those ants, he is trapped inside a loop with no end. As this terrifying thought sinks in, something even stranger happens. Blood suddenly begins dripping from the Exit 8 sign above him, slowly falling onto his face. Shocked and terrified, Mitaya instinctively runs backwards instead of forward. And suddenly, he notices a huge change. The board that previously said Exit 0 now reads Exit 1. Everything else looks exactly the same, but this small change feels extremely important. He looks closely at the board and notices several strange instructions written on it. One of them says to pay attention carefully. If you notice anything abnormal or different, you must immediately run back. But if nothing has changed, you should continue moving forward toward Exit 8. Mitaya quickly understands what happened. The red liquid dripping from the sign was the abnormality. Because he ran backwards, he moved from Exit 0 to Exit 1. This realization fills him with hope. Maybe there is a way to escape this maze after all. With renewed determination, Mitaya once again begins moving toward Exit 8. This time, he carefully observes everything around him. He notices no changes or abnormalities, so he continues moving forward. But when he reaches the board again, he is shocked. Instead of showing Exit 1, the board now says Exit 0 again. That means he made a mistake. Mitaya realizes something important. This maze is like a game. Just like in a video game where one mistake resets everything to the beginning, one wrong move here sends him back to 0. If he wants to survive and escape, he must carefully follow the rules. Thinking quickly, Mitaya takes out his phone and begins taking pictures of everything around him, every small detail and every corner. His plan is simple. When he walks through the maze again, he can compare the pictures and detect any changes. He even takes a photo of the strange man who keeps walking silently under the Exit 8 sign. So far, nothing appears abnormal, so Mitaya continues forward. When he reaches the next board, he finally sees the number 1 written there. His guess was correct. Since nothing had changed earlier, he successfully crossed level 1. Now he understands the game even better. For level 2, he must pass through the maze again and search for something different. As he walks forward, he pulls out his phone to compare the photos he took earlier. But when he opens them, he is shocked. Every single picture has become completely blurred. Nothing is visible anymore. Mitaya realizes that he cannot rely on his phone. The only way to win this game is by using his mind. Just then, he notices something strange. The silent man who usually walks past the Exit 8 board is now standing completely still. Mitaya instantly understands that this is the abnormality. Without wasting a second, he turns and runs backward. But something even more terrifying begins to happen. The man starts chasing him. He doesn't appear to be walking, yet somehow he keeps getting closer. Every time Mitaya looks back, The man is suddenly right behind him. Panicking, Mitaya trips and falls to the ground. When he finally gets up and looks around, he realizes he has reached the board again. But this time, the board says Exit 2, and the strange man is gone. That means he successfully crossed another level. After clearing 2 levels, Mitaya's confidence begins to grow. He now understands the rules better. Carefully memorizing everything around him, he begins walking through the maze again, searching for the next abnormality. While wandering through the corridor, he suddenly hears the sound of a child crying from inside a locker. Nervously, Mitaya opens the locker door. What he sees inside is so horrifying that the film does not even show it. Mitaya screams in fear and runs backwards immediately, and just like that, he clears another level. When he reaches the board again, it now reads Exit 3. Relieved, Mitaya realizes he only has 5 more levels to go before reaching the final corridor and escaping this nightmare. Once again, he walks toward Exit 8, carefully observing everything around him. But this time he feels something strange. It feels like someone is watching him as he walks through the corridor. He looks at the pictures hanging on the walls and suddenly notices something terrifying. The people inside the photos are staring directly at him, their eyes rolling toward him. Realizing this abnormality, Mitaya instantly runs backward again. When he reaches the board this time, it changes to Exit 4. Mitaya is overwhelmed with relief and excitement. He has already won half the game. Mitaya feels both relieved and terrified at the same time. While he is happy that he has crossed several levels, the fear inside him keeps growing, because he knows that even a tiny mistake can send him all the way back to 0. With that pressure in his mind, he once again starts walking toward Exit 8. As he quietly walks through the corridor, something unexpected happens. His phone suddenly begins to ring. When he checks the screen, he is shocked to see that the call is coming from his girlfriend. The call feels strange to him because just a few days ago they had decided to break up and go their separate ways. Still confused, Mitaya answers the call. During the conversation, his girlfriend tells him something shocking. She says that she is pregnant, and Mitaya is going to become a father. She explains that the final decision is completely up to him. If Mitaya wants the child, she is ready to come back into his life and raise the baby with him. Hearing this, Mitaya's heart becomes heavy and confused. His mind drifts back to an incident that happened a few days earlier while he was traveling on a train. On that train, a small child had been crying loudly. An angry man nearby began scolding the child and even shouting at the child's mother. Mitaya wanted to stand up for them. He wanted to defend the child and tell the man to stop. But when the moment came, he didn't have the courage to speak. Remembering that moment now fills him with doubt. If he couldn't even defend a crying child on a train, how could he possibly take responsibility for raising his own child? Lost in confusion, Mitaya quietly disconnects the call. But the moment the call ends, something terrible happens. The exit board that had previously shown the number 4 suddenly resets back to 0. Mitaya instantly realizes what mistake he has made. He already knew that there was absolutely no signal inside this maze. That phone call from his girlfriend was clearly the abnormality. But instead of running back according to the rules, he ignored the change and continued forward. Because of that one mistake, the game has reset completely. Just moments ago, he had already crossed half the levels, but now he is back at the very beginning. Frustrated and exhausted, Mitaya collapses onto the floor and begins shouting in anger. The maze feels endless, and now he has lost all motivation to keep playing this cruel game. Still, he slowly forces himself to keep moving forward. His steps feel heavy and lifeless as he walks through the same corridors again and again. But this time he cannot find anything unusual inside the maze. After turning into another corridor, Mitaya suddenly sees a small child standing there. Startled, he immediately runs back toward the exit board, expecting the number to change. But when he checks the board, it still shows 0. This means the child is not an abnormality at all. It soon becomes clear that the child is also trapped inside the maze, just like Mitaya, and is desperately trying to escape. Soon after, Mitaya notices the same silent man he has seen many times before. the man wearing a suit and boots who keeps passing by without saying a word. At this moment, Mitaya finally understands something important. That man is not part of the maze either. He is also trapped here, just like Mitaya and the child, searching for a way out. It is then revealed that the man in the suit and the child had been working together as a team. During their search, they once came across a girl inside the maze who behaved very differently from them. While they were desperately trying to escape, the girl showed no interest in leaving the maze at all. Curious, the man asked her why she was not trying to escape. The girl calmly replied that every day in the real world, she gets pushed around in crowded trains and struggles through exhausting work. Life outside is too difficult for her. Compared to that harsh reality, she says that this maze actually feels peaceful and relaxing. As she continues speaking, something strange begins to happen. Her voice slowly changes. She starts repeating the same sentence over and over again. Then her voice becomes deeper and suddenly transforms into a man's voice. The man immediately realizes that this is the abnormality. Without wasting a second, he grabs the child's hand and runs back toward the exit board. When they reach the board, the number 6 appears on it. This means they are extremely close to escaping the maze. Encouraged by this progress, they begin exploring the maze again to search for the next change. Once again, they see the same girl walking through the corridor, but this time she does not say anything to them. While observing their surroundings, the child suddenly notices something strange about the door handles in the corridor. They seem to be installed in an unusual way. The child tries to explain this to the man, but the man ignores him and continues moving forward. Because of this small mistake, they waste too much time. And just like that, their entire progress is erased. The exit board resets back to 0, meaning they have lost the game and must start all over again. The man is completely shattered. Exhaustion and frustration overwhelm him, and he screams in despair. But escaping the maze is still necessary. So despite his anger and exhaustion, he prepares himself to play the game once again. Holding the child's hand, he begins walking through the maze again. As they explore, the man suddenly discovers something new. He notices a staircase leading upward. Excited by this discovery, he believes that this must be the real way out. He eagerly moves toward the stairs and begins climbing them. But the child quickly stops him and warns him that this is a trap. According to the rules of the maze, any strange change must be treated as an abnormality, and they must run back instead. The child begs him to follow the rules, but the man refuses to listen. Ignoring the warning, he climbs the stairs anyway, and the moment he does that, he becomes trapped inside the maze forever. Meanwhile, the child returns to the exit board alone and sees that the number 1 has appeared on the board instead of 0. This proves that the child was correct. The staircase was the abnormality, and running back was the correct move. The child sadly realizes that the man will now remain trapped on those endless stairs forever. The story then shifts back to Mitaya, who has just met the child. Mitaya quickly understands that the child and the suited man were once working together as a team. Seeing the child alone now makes him realize that the man is gone. Mitaya feels sorry for the child. Soon, the two of them decide to work together. As they spend more time together, Mitaya realizes that the child is extremely intelligent. The child has an incredibly sharp mind and can detect even the smallest abnormal changes in the maze. Using the child's intelligence, they quickly manage to cross the first level, and then the second level as well. But while searching for the next abnormality to clear the third level, something strange suddenly begins to happen. The lights inside the maze start flickering violently. Suddenly, the sound of children crying begins echoing through the maze. Along with it, strange scratching noises start coming from the walls, almost like rats running through the corridors. Feeling uneasy, Mitaya turns on the flashlight of his phone. The light reveals something terrifying. The suited man is standing there in a very unnatural position, staring silently. Frightened by the sight, Mitaya immediately grabs the child's hand and runs back toward the exit board. When they reach it, they realize that they have successfully crossed another level. Everything that had just happened, the strange sounds and the frightening scene, was simply another test created by the maze. Without wasting time, they begin wandering through the maze again to search for the next abnormality. During the next round, a woman suddenly appears in front of them. Mitaya quickly understands that this woman must also be an abnormality and that they need to run back immediately. But the child suddenly becomes emotional and begins crying. Instead of turning back, he starts walking toward the woman. Realizing the danger, Mitaya quickly picks up the child in his arms and runs back toward the exit board. Because of this quick decision, they successfully clear another level. However, even after winning half the game, Mitaya does not feel happy. Instead, he begins to feel worried about the child. The child is far away from his mother, trapped inside this terrifying maze. Mitaya feels deep pity for him. He holds the child's hand tightly and silently promises himself that he will take the child back to his mother. As they continue searching through the maze again, something strange happens. This time, they cannot find any obvious change, but the child suddenly notices something very small. The Exit 8 sign above them has the number 8 written upside down. It is such a tiny detail that most people would completely ignore it, but the child catches it instantly. They immediately run back toward the exit board. Because of this sharp observation, they successfully cross level 6. Now only 2 levels remain before freedom. Mitaya knows that if he clears them, he will finally escape this nightmare and return to the real world. But strangely, his heart feels uneasy and heavy for reasons he cannot explain. As they begin another round through the maze, something unexpected suddenly happens. A massive wave of water suddenly rushes into the corridor from behind them like a flood. Mitaya quickly tries to run back with the child, but the child slips and is swept away by the powerful water. Without thinking for even a second, Mitaya jumps into the water to save him. The moment he enters the rushing water, something strange begins happening to him. His surroundings begin to change, and he suddenly sees a vision. He finds himself standing near a peaceful beach. His girlfriend is beside him, and the child from the maze appears there as well. But in this vision, the child is not a stranger. The child feels like his own son, his family. Mitaya is laughing, playing, and enjoying beautiful moments with the child. In that moment, he realizes something important. Being a father is not a burden at all. It is one of the most beautiful feelings and relationships a person can experience. But before he can think any further, a sharp pain suddenly shoots through his body and the vision disappears. Mitaya snaps back to reality. He and the child are still struggling inside the rushing floodwater. Using all his remaining strength, Mitaya lifts the child above the water so he can breathe. He manages to place the child onto the Exit 8 signboard, keeping him safe above the water. But in the process, Mitaya himself loses his balance and is swept away by the powerful current. The scene then cuts forward to some time later. When the child wakes up, he finds himself alone inside the destroyed corridor of the maze. Confused but determined, the child turns around and looks back. Surprisingly, he still remembers all the rules and routes of the maze. When he reaches the exit board, he sees the number 7 written on it. This means they successfully crossed another level. Now only one final level remains, but Mitaya is no longer with him. Meanwhile, on the other side, Mitaya himself has somehow reached the final level, level 8. But instead of feeling happy, he feels confused. He cannot tell whether this is truly victory or just another trap created by the maze. Ahead of him, he clearly sees a staircase leading upward, and people are calmly walking up and down those stairs. Mitaya becomes unsure about what he should do. Should he turn back according to the rules, or move forward toward the stairs? Confused, he decides to walk forward. At that moment, he also tries calling his girlfriend again. This time, his phone suddenly has signal. Because of this, Mitaya believes that he has finally returned to the real world and escaped the maze. When his girlfriend answers the call, Mitaya speaks with determination. He tells her that he is ready to take responsibility. Mitaya has finally decided that he is ready to become a father. After ending the call, Mitaya walks into a metro train nearby. But something about the metro feels strangely familiar. It feels as if he has already seen all of this before. A moment later, a child begins crying inside the train. An angry man starts shouting at the train and his mother. This is the exact same scene that Mattia had remembered earlier inside the maze. Mattia slowly looks around at the people inside the train. Everyone seems strange. They are all completely absorbed in their phones, ignoring everything around them. In that moment, Mattia's heart sinks. He realizes the terrifying truth. He has fallen into the maze's trap once again. He never actually cleared level 7 after level 6. Everything that just happened was another illusion created by the maze. Instead of recognizing the abnormality and turning back, he continued moving forward. Because of that mistake, he is now trapped inside the same endless loop once again. And with that chilling realization, the film ends, leaving the mystery unanswered. Is Mattia finally free, or is he forever trapped inside the maze?